It's a pleasure to bring you the program Security Watch Africa once again, and only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. Welcome to the program today. On this program, we'll give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to the program today. Yes, I can see we are in a location, not in the studio. Behind me, you can see an array of wonderful and high-tech security equipment that is being provided as part of the Akwa Ibom State Security Emergency Management System to be able to ensure that the people of Akwa Ibom live safe and secured. Welcome to the programs today. The program today. Yes, like we always do, we'll take you wherever the news is to bring you the information. And by the way, also, Akwa Ibom State right now is celebrating what they call the Christmas Carol Night. It's a wonderful experience where more than 999 choirs will be singing to the glory of God. It's the state's way of giving glory to God for a wonderful year. What a wonderful experience it will be. By next week, next edition of this program, we'll be giving you clips from this carol so that you can see it, and we'll be talking more on these equipments. So much really is being provided to ensure that there is security, because you know security is a paramount responsibility of every government, and like you can see, Akwa Ibom State government is not playing. They are not joking with the security of life of the people in the state. Welcome to the program today. Yes, today we're going to begin giving you with a report from Sokoto State. Yeah, talking about Sokoto, the Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference was held there, and Security Watch Africa, Shuli Daniels, was there to witness the closing ceremony. Sit back as we give you this report.
As Nigeria prepares for the 2023 general elections, the Chief of Army Staff of the Nigerian Army, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, has stated the readiness of the Nigerian Army with the new strategy put in place to support civil authority come 25th February, with the lessons learned from the previous elections held respectively in Anambra, Ekiti, and Osun states.
The renewed rules of engagement and code of conduct recently issued to troops were discussed, and commanders are now better informed on their responsibilities as well as obligations to their personnel. Additionally, the lessons learned during our security support for the elections held in Anambra, Ekiti, and Osun State were also deliberated upon, with sound conclusion reached to enhance our security duties in the upcoming elections. Therefore, I wish to assure the personnel of the Nigerian Army are poised to discharge their constitutional duties of providing peaceful atmosphere before, during, and after 2023 electionary period.
He also urged commanders to follow the rugged and realizable targets set aside to make sure they deliver.
As we move into New Year, I have set strong and achievable targets for the commanders to deliver. Accordingly, I wish to reiterate some of these targets which you all need to focus on as you return to your bases. You are to sustain the tempo of our operations and deal decisively with all criminals. In doing so, all formations and units must maximally utilize the equipment at their disposal and neutralize the criminals, particularly in their hideout. Soldiers that distinguish themselves in discharge of their duties should be rewarded, while those that are to be swiftly corrected and sanctions accordingly. You are to also in place stringent measures to ensure professional conduct of troops during operations and other security duties. I encourage you to maintain professional liaison with local authorities, traditional rulers, and youth leaders to facilitate information gathering and crisis management. I wish to assure all commanders that the Nigerian Army headquarters will vigorously sustain ongoing efforts to provide the requisite resources for you all to accomplish your missions. I urge you to sustain the efforts in engaging with your host communities through regular security meetings and civil military cooperation activities. In the same vein, I urge the people to continue to provide actionable information to commanders in the field to facilitate their operations.
Shirley Daniels, reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. As you heard it there, the Chief of Army Staff talking specifically about the need to ensure that personnel remain apolitical during the electionary and the election processes. And he also talked about drawing from the experiences of the previous elections to ensure that the 2023 general election, the Army discharged its responsibility diligently without any problem. Really, we must commend the Nigerian Army and the Chief of Army Staff for doing that. Yes, we are still here in the foyer of the government house of Akwa Ibom State. Like you can see, there is a toll-free number there, which is 112. That is a hunting number to connect to other numbers in case you have an emergency situation. But again, let's leave this and still remaining really with Sokoto State. Something wonderful, and it's part of motivating the people who have helped to develop the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff graciously invited the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, to present awards to those who have helped the Nigerian Army in one way or the other, particularly talking about the past Chief of Army Staff and the former Nigerian ambassador to Benin Republic, talking about Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, who was awarded with Nigerian Army Special Recognition Award. Sit back as we bring you this report again from Shirley Daniels.
To reward exceptional and impactful leadership, the Nigerian Army, under the command of the current Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, has awarded the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, during the just concluded Chief of Army Staff Annual Conference 2022 with the Nigerian Army Recognition Award. General Buratai, who was the former Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Benin, was honored along with 4 other eminent Nigerians for their contribution to the Nigerian Army and Nigeria in general. Before the presentation of the award by President Muhammadu Buhari, the citation of General Buratai was read.
His Excellency, Lieutenant General Ambassador Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired. He is a very distinguished Nigerian whose contributions to the Nigerian cause knows no bounds. Little wonder his stint as Chief of Army Staff in Nigeria goes down in history as one of the best in improving the resourcefulness of officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army. Ambassador T.Y. Buratai is a combination of strength and character whose deep thoughts gave birth to numerous interventions that repositioned the Nigerian Army. Aside from the combat efficiency of the Nigerian Army, which was at its peak during his tenure, he was able to make tangible introductions that many thought could not be achieved. Ambassador T.Y. Buratai is an exceptional leader who cherishes every opportunity to engage in intellectual endeavors. His passion for reading and research knows no bounds.
It is my honor to now invite Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, CFR, former Chief of Army Staff, to please rise gracefully to receive his award. Thank you.
With the excitement on the faces of those in attendance, it is obvious that General Buratai has impacted positively in the improvement of the Nigerian Army and security in Nigeria. Shirley Daniels, reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Yeah, like you can see, the high-tech equipment that have been monitored variously, and rescue team will be discharged from discharged to for rescue operation from these systems here you are seeing there. It shows a system that is well prepared for the mission ahead. And you watch there the award to Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai. We must say congratulations, sir, for that. Your Excellency, you deserve it, we must say. And still on the General Buratai in faraway Gambia, he also delivered a wonderful lecture that resonated among everybody that were in that hall, where people acknowledge that yes, he is a man of knowledge and intellect. So sit back as we bring you the presentation by Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai in the Gambia, as presented by Ernest Enunekun.
Africans must look inward to solve the myriads of security challenges confronting a continent if it must attain its full potential. These were the views of Nigeria's former Chief of Army Staff and Ambassador, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, at the just concluded 17th Africa Security Watch Conference in the Gambia. General Buratai, speaking on the topic counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism, causes, challenges, lessons, and deterrents, said the world as we know it today is volatile, full of uncertainties, complexity, and ambiguity, that Africa must brace up for these vulgar conditions and plan ahead before things get out of hand.
Counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations are draining our meager resources. We cannot afford to allow these jihadi terrorists to continue with their missions. According to a recent document released by the Office of Joe Biden, known as U.S. Strategy Towards Sub-Saharan Africa, 1/4 of the world's population by 2050 will be in Africa, and that if the African continent free trade area is implemented, Africa will be the 5th largest economy in the world, with a combined GDP of $3.5 trillion. This is highly promising, and we really need to get it right. And this is the right time. The major challenge before us is that insurgency and terrorism will constitute an obstacle to the stability and economic development of Africa. This hydra-headed monster called terrorism is menacingly staring us in the face, and it is high time we came up with a foolproof homegrown solution anchored on and around the clock effort to confront and mitigate this challenge.
He outlined some of the lessons that has been learned over the years that will help restore peace to the continent.
And, one of the lessons that I learned was the importance of intelligence. Very, very important. That intelligence is key. And if you miss the intelligence, then you have not started your counterinsurgency operation. And we also believe, in general terms, the first lesson for us is to know that guns and bullets alone cannot defeat insurgency and terrorism if we do not make concerted effort to address the root causes of the problem. Someone did mention the comprehensive approach is very important. The non-kinetic as well as the military approach are very key in countering insurgency and terrorism.
The role of the media in the fight against insurgency and terrorism cannot be overemphasized. General Buratai says love for country must come first.
Misinformation, propaganda, they demoralize the forces. They demoralize the citizens. They instill fear in them. And unfortunately, some media houses across Africa, they fall victim or they fall simple prey to the Boko Haram as well as other insurgent groups' antics of demoralizing and instilling fear in the populace. If that is cut off, I'm sure, and I assure you, the troops as well as the people will have less fear on the terrorists. Well, let me use this opportunity to say kudos to Security Watch Africa for their fair-minded, impartial reporting and patriotic outlook for the reportage they've been doing, they've been covering, and they've been quite dispassionate and they have done extremely well in terms of propagating the right concept and of course, reassuring Nigerians, reassuring the Africans that all efforts must be geared towards doing away with terrorism and insurgency in our continent.
Building on his experiences as a former force commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force, Chief of Army Staff Nigeria, and as an ambassador, General Buratai says all is not lost for Africa if she works together and not depend on external forces.
The African story, regardless of what is happening in some parts of the Sahel and sub-Saharan Africa, is not a story of failure and hopelessness. And our challenges are surmountable if we can buckle up, look inwards, take responsibility for our action and condition, and work together to salvage the continent. Two wars come into my mind as I conclude this speech: the Tigray-Ethiopian war and that of Russia and Ukraine. These are two wars, and you can see the contrast, and you can see the challenge, and the neglect, and of course, the folly of the Africans, still relying on what is happening in other parts of the world, and we continue to rely on other countries or other forces. Another thing that is glaring when we take a look at the two wars is the level of financial support the West gave to Ethiopia vis-à-vis Ukraine. Please take note. For instance, the United States under President Joe Biden has allocated about $54 billion in aid and military equipment to Ukraine, while it has sent about $488 million to help those suffering in the 18-month conflict in Ethiopia. Look at the contrast: 58 billion and against less than $500 million. Similarly, the United Kingdom has offered an estimated 2.3 billion pounds in military support to Ukraine. This is in addition to the 1.5 billion pounds in humanitarian and economic aid extended to the country, since support to where they thought is in their interest. Nevertheless, I think this should be a lesson to African leaders. We must come up with innovative solutions to solve our security and economic challenges. I'm happy.
He ended his presentations with these words of admonition.
Finally, I am calling on all patrons and financiers of insurgencies and terrorist organizations in Africa to have a rethink and consider the consequences of bloodletting they have brought upon Africa. Let them embrace dialogue, negotiation, as it was recently done by the Chadians, and of course, in terms of democracy, they must also embrace it.
Ernest Enuneku, Security Watch Africa, the Gambia.
About the security equipment that the Akwa Ibom State government just donated to the police in Akwa Ibom State to ensure that the people are well secured. We have with us here the consultant, security consultant of the state who put together all this. Please, can you join me? Let's talk about all this wonderful equipment, really. Please, come closer.
Yes.
What's the name, sir?
My name is Pastor Bassi James.
Oh, Pastor Bassi James, okay.
I'm a security consultant to the government.
Okay, to the government, it's a pleasure. Yeah, looking at the equipment behind us, can you tell us what are they for?
His Excellency, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Digno Emmanuel, has done this to the people of Akwa Ibom State, to Nigerian police, and to support the security agencies in Akwa Ibom State. I want to thank him for, this wonderful donation. We have almost 1,000 walkie-talkies, and we are about 100 handsets and 300 land phones, which we will distribute to the police command across the state. Our own belief is that security and communication cannot be separated. So His Excellency has taken a very strong interest in the development of security, and you can see that Akwa Ibom State is peaceful, and everybody's filing to Akwa Ibom State development in Akwa Ibom State. So much has happened in the last 7 years, and we thank His Excellency for this wonderful job he has done. And I also want to thank you for being part of the success story. You know, you have demonstrated in strong terms, you know, on the issue of security management. I want to say kudos to you, and I want to thank the Commissioner of Police Akwa Ibom State for the initiative, because you know, it is one thing for you to give and another thing for you to use. So the Commissioner of Police is doing so much in Akwa Ibom State. You know, he has changed the face of security. Kudos to him. And the state government is ready to partner with the police to make sure that there is a safety of life and property in the state. Thank you.
Welcome back. Yes, you had him there because he has experienced all the situations he talked about there, telling Africa that we must unite, we must look inward for the solution to the challenges that are with us in the issues of security. And I believe you mean that the communique of this of the conference has already been submitted to all the regional bodies for actions to be taken, and we're looking forward to the implementation of the recommendations and the bodies of that communique. Yes, but on this note, we must leave because there are other programs that are lined up. But if you have enjoyed watching it, I must say, join us again next week. But before then, you can follow us on all our social media platforms to get more information. For that, you can subscribe to get daily news from our online platform, talking about swafricanews.com. You can watch us on our YouTube channel, or send us your views on our email address that is on the screen. Until we come here again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye for now.